The German election results are in, and it's going to be those results are going to reverberate far beyond Germany's borders, and may well reshape the European political landscape. Let's begin with a brief historical aside, though subtle. I mentioned it the other day. It offers an intriguing perspective on the challenges of government, particularly in a coalition. Angela Merkel, the former chancellor, during her tenure, reportedly expressed in a discreet complaint to the Turkish President Erdogan that the inherent difficulties of maintaining control in a parliamentary democracy as opposed to a presidential system. And this comment, though private at the time, was was made public in a wry comment by Erdogan. And it now resonates as we witness Germany's current electoral transformation, highlighting not only the challenges of coalition politics, but also the shifting dynamics within democracies across Europe and the move towards the right. At the heart of the matter, in the recent election, the results have been both historic and transformative. Friedrich Merz, at 69, stands poised to be the next chancellor, a significant moment given his absence from ministerial offices in the past. And Merz has quickly set a tone of determination. Let's celebrate tonight, and in the morning we'll get to work. He's declared in a jubilant crowd, a remark that underscores both the triumph of his party, the Christian Democratic Union, the Christian Social Union, and the formidable task that lies ahead, the CDU and the CSU. Merz's victory, though clear, didn't come with an overwhelming mandate that had been anticipated, and with the CDU-CSU securing a vote share of around 28.6%, they fell short of the 30% threshold that they'd hoped for. The Social Democrats, the SPD, Germany's oldest party, experienced their worst performance in 100 years, capturing just 16.4%, and the result not only signals a significant decline in support for the SPD, but also marks a seismic shift in the traditional two-party landscape that has defined post-war Germany. Meanwhile, the far-right alternative for Germany, the AfD, has emerged as an unexpectedly strong force, capturing 20.8% of the vote. Elon Musk must be delighted, but the AfD's surge, particularly in eastern regions, is emblematic of a broader discontent among voters, and many are frustrated by economic stagnation, the high living costs, lingering uncertainties over migration policies, and in some quarters even Turkish groups have voiced concern about the rise of the right, underscoring the transnational impact of these shifts in political sentiment. Friedrich Merz, however, remains resolute in his vision for Germany's future, and despite the turbulent political environment, he's affirmed his unwavering support for Ukraine, a stance that contrasts sharply with the indifference shown by many other international leaders across Europe. Merz's commitment to Ukraine is part of a broader strategy to reassert Germany's leadership on the European stage, and in his view, a unified, independent Europe is essential for reducing reliance on external powers, particularly the United States, whose interventions he has personally sharply criticized. He described the recent conduct of the US president as emblematic of a broader disregard for Europe's fate, a sentiment that, if shared widely, could signal a realignment of transatlantic relations. So the path ahead for Merz is fraught with challenge. His immediate priority is the formation of a viable coalition government, with the SPD trailing significantly behind. Coalition talks are expected to be arduous, and the traditional model of a grand coalition between the CDU, the CSU and the SPD faces skepticism given the SPD's weakened mandate. Moreover, the growing influence of the AfD further complicates matters, even if Merz has categorically ruled out any coalition with the far right. The electorate's fragmentation suggests that Germany may witness a more pluralistic parliament where compromise becomes not just desirable but necessary. And this fragmented political landscape is symptomatic of a broader European trend. As traditional party loyalties wane, voters are increasingly attracted to parties at the extremes of the political spectrum. The rise of the AfD, alongside a rejuvenated left-wing presence, signals a call for change, a demand for fresh solutions to long-standing issues such as economic stagnation, immigration and security. Yet this same trend also portends instability. Coalition governments, by their very nature, require careful negotiation and mutual concession. And in the coming months, Merz's ability to forge a stable alliance will be tested not only by domestic political rivalries, but also by external pressures from global powers and internal party dynamics. Internationally, the implications are profound. Merz's election is already sending ripples through Washington, where critics of the previous administration are watching closely. Donald Trump, for instance, has publicly lauded the outcome as a repudiation of what he termed the no common sense agenda in Germany. Yet Merz's victory has also elicited a robust response from European leaders. French President Emmanuel Macron, Sir Keir Starmer, among others, have expressed optimism that a united and resolute Germany will reinvigorate European unity at a time when transatlantic relations have grown increasingly complex. In this context, Merz's call for European independence from US influence is particularly significant. He envisages a future where Europe, step by step, builds its own strength politically, economically and militarily, thereby redefining the balance of power on the continent. And this vision is not merely aspirational, it reflects a broader disenchantment with external interference in domestic affairs. In a time when figures like Elon Musk and J.D. Vance have been implicated in influencing German politics, a distinctly European course seems not only prudent but imperative. So looking ahead, several key questions remain. How will the coalition talks unfold? Can Merz bridge the ideological chasm between his own conservatives and the centrist or left-leaning elements required to secure a parliamentary majority without the AfD? And perhaps more crucially, will his government be able to implement the bold reforms needed to address the deep-seated economic and social challenges that have driven voters to the extremes? The coming weeks will be critical. Coalition negotiations, scheduled to begin almost immediately, must balance the competing demands of coalition partners while also addressing the grievances of an electorate that is increasingly polarized. Economic issues ranging from a stagnant economy to high living costs and a contentious migration policy will need to be tackled head-on. At the same time, Germany's role as a linchpin in European security, especially regarding support for Ukraine and the broader strategic autonomy of the EU, will be under intense scrutiny. The German elections represent both an end and a beginning. They mark the end of an era defined by long-standing political institutions and the dominance of a few major parties, and at the same time they herald the beginning of a more fragmented and unpredictable political future, one in which traditional safeguards of a parliamentary democracy are tested by the new political forces. Friedrich Merz now faces the formidable task of uniting a divided electorate, restoring confidence in a system beleaguered by international challenges, and steering Germany, and by extension Europe, towards a more autonomous and robust future.